Good afternoon. Thank you guys for logging on. This is the Table for Queens. Sorry we have been MIA, but we are back and we are ready to finish discussing Over the Fence by Mary Monroe. We have unfolded a lot of things about these characters. We have debated about these characters, but we have still focusing on that scripture where it says the heart is wicked and deceitful above all things, and only I can know it. So we're going to talk about the revelations when it comes towards the end of the book. We have learned that Joyce is still pretty much naive. Odell is pretty much getting tired of being blackmailed, but he still has not told the truth. Yvonne and Milton, regardless of their setbacks of going to jail, being arrested, her being raped, they are still pretty much planning on blackmailing Odell. Okay, so who would like to start off about the revelations of the end of the book? Has anything changed toward the feelings of the characters or how everything unfolded?
Now, I'm not sure we talked with the audience before we left. Did we talk about the ending of the book, that they went to jail? Did we talk about them going to jail? I'm not sure. If we discussed them going to jail and she getting raped in jail.
We didn't. No, we didn't discuss it. The last thing we didn't. We did not. That is correct. We did not.
So do you want to bring them up to speed with that?
Okay. Yes. So throughout the chapters, we have learned that something happened. Something happened pretty much with the characters where Yvonne and Milton end up going to jail. Even though they got out of jail, Willie Frank assisted them with getting out of jail because we learned that his family did have connection with them going to jail. Amongst that, we also learned that someone came in their house and Yvonne got brutally raped. Even though she got raped, she recovered. We also know that Milton got beat up. I don't think we spoke about Milton getting beat up. He got beat up on Odell's porch and Odell pretty much helped him and Yvonne revived him. So we have learned about these characters going to prison, about them being accused of something terrible happening to, I guess, I'm not for sure their promise in the book regarding the white women. What was their status? Does anybody remember exactly their status?
No, they was accused at one of their little drinking parties that a white woman was being raped in their house.
Repeatedly in their house.
Being raped.
Okay, I don't know why I thought it was.
And that's why they went to jail. But like you said, prior to them going to jail, someone jumped Milton and beat him up real bad. And then when they got to jail, he got beat again. He and Yvonne were badly beaten, starved. She was raped. And it was a short period of time. I think maybe 2 days. They stayed in there 2 days. But it was a call that, of course, their neighbor made. Odell made. Because he was tired of them, and I was tired of them too. I was just wondering when was it all gonna stop? When did Milton gonna grow some strength? Or as they say, grow some and step up and just say, okay, enough is enough. But eventually he was still dumb as usual.
Right. But when I first read it, because I had to go back and reread, because I'm sorry, you guys, we have not been logging on consistent, so I do apologize. Y'all remember when Yvonne went to the store for Willie Frank's birthday, but she went to blackmail Odell to get some money because her aunt called and said the kids didn't have any money, and she ran into her ex-boyfriend where she stole the money from. Mm-hmm. I really assumed that phone call had came from him. Because remember, he warned her that he was going to get her back. So I didn't think that it was Odell. Because truth be told, I didn't think Odell had the balls. I knew he was tired of them. Because you remember, I knew he was plotting something against them. Because remember that same day when she went to get the necktie for Willie Frank, she was talking about how happy Odell was. And she wanted some of that happiness. And maybe next time when she go visit him, he'll still be happy and he'll give her more money. Because remember, her price increased as well.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Miss KQ, you want to say anything?
Sure. Well, actually, the second book does not reveal who made the phone call, because the beginning of the third book, they're actually trying to figure out, and I actually thought it was Odell because mysteriously he got sick and they went there. I actually would have been surprised had it been somebody else because he just ironically got sick that night and they stayed away. But I can't. I do want to reveal that I have finished the third book.
Well,
So
Doris revealed she has finished it as well. No, we can't. We got to let the audience catch up.
I mean, of course, I'm not going to say nothing, but I'm just saying. But no, the second book did not reveal who made the phone call. So it just it's terrible. Again, all I can say is I'm Team Willie Frank still and have been. And I don't care. I don't care for any of them folks. I've always said that that's the ground I'm standing on, and they're all terrible. One don't have a finger to point at the other, and they're nobody friend. And if they are friends, they just less of a friend to each other. Nobody is better than the next. They're all terrible.
Okay, well, I'm gonna be honest, and I'm gonna admit this. I know everybody may come for me with this one, but I'm gonna be honest. My heart did kind of go out to Joyce because she was being so nice to them when they got beat up. And this time I got irritated with Yvonne because I'm like, why you being mad? Because she said she gonna call the pastor, had him to preach for y'all and stuff like that. It's like money can't solve everything.
Joy's mouth was so, every chance she gets, always trying to look down on people. I mean, she
was
really
jealous.
threw low blows. She really threw low blows at them, and it was just awful. It was awful the way Joyce was running her mouth, and in one instance she low blowing them. Then she tried to throw Christ in there, Christianity, but she still wasn't nothing.
No, I said my heart went out to her. I liked that she showed a soft side, but I was like, I know y'all will come.
She didn't have a soft side.
Joyce had, we already know that Joyce had low self-esteem.
Yeah.
She knew she wasn't the best looking chick in the town or in the surrounding area. And she knew, that guys were not just gonna automatically approach her. And I oftentimes think about when they were walking down the street and the guys were making little comments, and she's turned around and said, I'm married, and has said, I'm not talking to you. So I think about that often and I laugh. So to make herself feel better than what she really felt about herself, and she would say some things to Yvonne to make her feel bad, and then you throw Christ in there and you're going to justify what you're saying. Is not as bad as what you're saying is wrong, but then when you throw Christ in there about it, then you kind of make it not be so bad as it is. So
she had to be jealous. Joyce was a beautiful woman.
She was jealous.
She was jealous of Yvonne. Yvonne was pretty. And that's her way of trying to cut Yvonne down to try to talk bad about her. But she was happy to have Yvonne as a friend. Because somebody beautiful,
wanted to be around her.
Yeah.
And she was out.
A lot of friends.
She did, and Yvonne was talented. Remember, Yvonne showed her how to knit. Yvonne could cook, and people was drawn to Yvonne. When she came over there, everybody liked to come in over their house because they was real hospitable. So Yvonne, I didn't understand why Yvonne looked so down on herself, because she was a beautiful woman. She was talented. She could cook, and people was naturally drawn to her. Joyce didn't have that.
But Joyce had money. And Joyce was able to buy things that she wanted, and she just had a lot of things going for her as far as prestige in the community now. That's about out. And then she was a school teacher. And then, of course, they remembered each other from being in teacher's aide. And they remembered each other from being in high school. So she looked up to Joyce, and based on what she knew about her. And then Joyce really kind of looked up to her, but then anger and disappointment and low self-esteem caused her to treat Yvonne the way she did. They could have become the best of friends. They could have lifted each other up. They could have complimented one another, but it didn't turn out that way.
And Joyce, even though she bought her clothes from Sears, Sears and Roebuck catalog, Joyce couldn't even pick out good clothes. She thought her clothes was up in ease. She thought her clothes was the bum diggity, but her clothes didn't match her. But you know how because they came from, we got them from the catalog. Of course, she telling Yvonne, you can't afford to order out of the catalog. That's above your price range. But the clothes she ordered wouldn't, she could have bought them at the thrift store. With what, the way she dressed and the way she looked in the clothes, she would have did better buying her clothes at the thrift store.
I'm gonna ask a question. It's also for the audience. If y'all if the audience, when you go on our page, you see we do have questions. Thank some of you guys for your comments and logging on. But one question is, have you ever met people like that? They do have a lot of things going for them, but they can't see their self-worth.
Yeah. You run into those people often, even
yeah.
on your job, you see them, and even in church, you meet those people, and you kind of just wonder, why they act the way they do and they speak the way that they do, because they have a lot going on for them. So, and then you got to know that some people strive on the compliments of others. Or, that's what makes them feel good about themselves. If somebody else is giving them a compliment, if somebody else is saying kind words to them or lifting them up or encouraging them, they live for that. And that's how they are able to, I guess, make it through whatever they're going through or make it through the day. And if somebody's not saying, well, you did well, or you're not second guessing yourself, wondering, did I do okay? Am I looking okay? Did I say the right things? So we come in contact with those people all the time.
Thing that really stood out to me in this book, and I'm not sure if everyone has noticed the power of the characters. Have you noticed that Joyce and Odell made a perfect couple because both of them was driven off others getting them compliments, looking up to them. Their power came from their status. And Yvonne and Milton power came from money, because no matter how much money they got, and notice everything that they were doing, they could have lived just as nice, as good in Joyce's Odell, but they chose not to. It's like, I'm not for sure what they were doing with their money, but have you noticed, like, each one of them had an ownership relationship? Milton and Yvonne owned who they were because they wanted everybody in town to like them and look up. Their status was they were great bootleggers. Remember, even when she ran into her ex, he was telling her he heard about him, and that made her proud until he said something crazy to her. And remember, we listened to Odell's biggest thing was he got off on everybody praising him. That's where he got his status from. It was just like Donna just said, when the kids gave him a compliment, he was happy. Joyce liked to compliment her husband because it made her feel good that she had a husband that everybody looked up to. Even when they was in church, he was going to give the speech. In the other town with his other girlfriend, everybody looked up to him. He's such a great husband to her. He takes care of her and those boys. They self-worth became off praise, and Milton and Yvonne's self-worth came off the money they had.
But see, Odell without Joyce, had no status. If Odell wasn't with Yvonne, he wouldn't have been nothing. Because remember now, he had gotten fired from Aunt Matt for stealing from some of her regulars, and then for forcing some of the girls, to have sex with him for free, and doing all kind of evil. Now, he did all kind of evil. He was a wicked old crooked man. And that's how Aunt Maddie let him go. Now, without Joyce, Odell was nothing. So Odell gained status.
But then without Odell, Joyce wasn't nothing. Because he made her.
Joyce's family had a store. Joyce came from money. So her mother and father had status. So Joyce automatically had status.
Yes, she had the status. She was known because who her parents were and what they had. Yeah. That's how they knew her. But she wasn't really, she didn't have her place or instead, we say the others had status. She really had none that anybody really looked at. It was just her name was attached to these two people that so happened to be her parents that owned a store that, Black people back then didn't have that.
Yeah, but she wasn't pretty. See, she probably wasn't. If your parents
nobody respected her. Of course, nobody respected Joyce.
But they didn't respect Joyce because Joyce wasn't no beautiful woman. But Joyce, but if it wasn't for Odell marrying Joyce, Odell wouldn't be nothing. Odell got his stuff. Odell became who he was because of who Joyce was and who Joyce was related to and what Joyce's family had. That's how Odell
and
come
I
to be.
really don't think
Odell,
Odell, I don't think Joyce would have been much in status
and
if
then
she would have gotten with a handsome Odell. Because nobody else was looking at her.
But Odell started pretending because Odell couldn't find no woman. Really, he was looking for a red bone. He couldn't find no woman for what he was doing. He was cleaning mess.
Well,
he was cleaning mess in the whorehouse. He was cleaning mess in the whorehouse. So he wasn't.
He had 3 women at one time. One was older, she could cook. One was a red bone. He said she wasn't good in bed. She was just, and then he had another one that he kind of, I guess maybe she had a good conversation or whatever. But out of all of those ladies, he probably would have preferred being with the red bone if her performance was a little better in their bedroom.
Yeah, but he wouldn't have had any money, Donna. He had no money. Money talk. And that's what he ran that store. And you have to pretend with your customers because you got to keep that money flowing in that business. And he knew that was a lucrative business when he got in there and he saw how much money was coming through there. And hey, he was going to do whatever he could to stay in that money. So he had to dress the part and everything, but he ain't have nothing. He was still underneath. He was a crook. When you keep on reading the book, he ain't wasn't nothing but a crook.
Well, we already know he was a crook because we know what his motives were from the beginning. So he wasn't anything but a crook. We knew from chapter 1 to chapter 2, and I know it didn't change chapter 3. So he was still the same Odell.
He wasn't nothing.
Just in deeper mess.
But like even with that's what I'm saying. It's like she aligned the characters off whatever their heart desired. And it's like they couldn't pay attention to the good things they had because each one of them heart was in the wrong place. Odell's heart was with his status and pretty much taking care of his other family. Because regardless of whether you like him or didn't like him, he did take care of his other family very well, and he made sure Joyce was happy. But it made him happy because he felt like he was Joyce's hero, and he felt like he was what's her name, Betty Jean's hero. And that now he has become a hero in Joyce's community because he knew his status and he knew he made Joyce happy. And like he said, he learned a lot from Joyce. He thought she was very smart and he wanted to learn how to dress different. He wanted to speak different, and he learned all that with Joyce. Because remember, that was one of Yvonne's biggest thing because Milton didn't have that. And she wanted Milton to be more like him until she realized what type of man he was. And she despised him for being a cheater, but she couldn't look at what type of woman she was. And with her and Milton, it's like their character was solely based off money. No matter how much they achieved, everything was pretty much still based off money.
I guess because, they never had any money. Then they got to a place where they got into the bootlegging business and was able to obtain a little money. But since they didn't know weren't familiar with money, they didn't know how to manage it. So they kept getting themselves into holes, getting themselves into places where they had to beg for more money, or they had to borrow, or they had to scheme, or they had to steal. So they could have had the money.
But that was due to Milton mismanagement, gambling.
Yeah.
If he didn't gamble that money away, they would have had a little
they would have had
it. They couldn't have had nothing. But like eventually he stopped gambling. But they found the food that they could bump his head. And hey, they was siphoning money out of him. And they
didn't even do that right because they became greedy. They were hiding from the other, didn't want the other person to know what the other was doing, and they both were greedy. So they both was pulling from the same person, just pulling from the same thing, getting money, and they didn't know how to use common sense to just get little money here and there. I mean, they was putting a hole in that man's pocket.
They were burning bridges everywhere, and that's what everywhere, and they did not. And it's like they would. in the beginning, it started off like, okay, they're a good couple because, you know, he accepted her, she accepted him. It's like everything made sense with Milton and Yvonne. But as you read the book, it is looking like y'all realize some evil, deceitful people. Because it's like no matter how much they get, yeah, it's like they couldn't,
it wasn't enough.
nothing was enough for them. They was not satisfied with anything.
But
it's like
still,
both of them was leading each other to destruction. No, I'm talking about with Milton and Yvonne. If Odell had told the truth, he could have came out a lot better if he just told the truth.
But wait a minute. Odell was a thief himself. So I don't feel sorry for them stealing from him. He stole from that store.
What I was gonna say.
He stole to.
They didn't do it the way they did it.
And her
the way they did it.
He stole when he took that money home on Friday. He was taking money from that pot. He stole all the way around. So he was a bigger thief than both of them. So by them taking from him, then was just he was stealing from somebody else.
What
he
stole.
Was stealing more.
He
was stealing way more than what they got from him. What they compared to what he did for Betty Jean and stuff, they was stealing pennies, chump change. They wasn't doing nothing. Odell was robbing Joyce. He robbed them. And George, he was robbing them.
Yes.
And to take care of them, and he robbed them a lot. So no, they should have took more.
I didn't feel sorry for him.
I think that was the way that they did it. I think they didn't do it the right. I
agree with Donna. They were wrong. And the only reason I was saying they were wrong because regardless of whatever what Odell was doing, they still didn't care enough about their community. Y'all moved in a nice community. This is the only store, predominantly Black store, and they also cater to white people to make sure this community is staying affluent. That's what I didn't like about them. Is like y'all say y'all want a better life, but you taking away from the better life. Then you bringing crooks and all this bad stuff over to this neighborhood. You bringing it down instead of building it up. Like y'all.
Yeah, but the crook was already there.
Enough.
Odell was already there. He was a crook.
But he was I guess he was a crook in a different type of way.
Odell was a well-dressed, undercover camouflage.
He was a scammer.
And that's the worst kind. He hid his, but they let theirs show. So he was just
they didn't let theirs show because everybody thought they were real good friends. They didn't let theirs show. Milton.
No, what she's saying, everybody in the community knew about them. Everybody knew their history, about their past. So they really couldn't pretend to be something that they were not. Well, Odell was just.
Well, no, everybody knew about Odell. Remember?
Yeah, but they knew about
he changed.
But the way he later presented himself as this upstanding member of society, and he worked very well within the store, and the way he interacted with the people, how he dressed, the car that he drove. So, they kind of thought that he had gotten better over the years. He had changed from some of those wicked ways that he had.
Right. But Aunt Maddie knew what he was. Aunt Maddie used to hint to Joyce at those parties about who she married. But George didn't want to listen to nobody. So Aunt Maddie knew he was still a crook.
Joyce heard everything Aunt Maddie said. Now, we may not agree with how she handled it because she didn't go back and approach him and say da 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 da, or she didn't follow him around. But I believe she heard everything that Aunt Maddie said about Odell, and she just kept it right here.
But Aunt Maddie talked in code.
It wasn't true, but knew it was true.
Aunt Maddie talked in code. She didn't talk straight out. She talked in code.
The way Aunt Maddie said, we caught it.
I don't know. Some things Aunt Maddie said, it was just strange.
And it would have taken more than that for Joyce to really receive that anyway. It had to happen the way it happened for those that have made it to the end. She had to get it the way she got it,
I'm sure it wasn't good. How she got it probably wasn't good.
Well, it was the way she had to receive it, and you can see how they just ran out, how the couple, and it's like, but Odell equally ran out, with the money. It's just like, man, you gonna milk her dry too. It's like he did just as much. So I hear Miss Doris, and it's like, man, they ran out. It's like, come on now, Milton. you're running out. You know, come on now, Yvonne, you're running out. But with Odell, it's the same way, dude. You running out. Now you already taking care of this family with this woman's money, and now you blackmailing with this woman's money, and now you know you doing everything with this woman's money. So he equally ran out. You know, she really is the only victim. You know, I know that she talked too much, you know, with her words, but that's pretty much all she did.
And then he was making fake invoices. I mean, he was doing some of everything, embezzling. He was doing some of everything. And then, you know how the book said that Betty Jean had moved into a second house. He had moved
Yeah, he got her a
us
bigger house. He got her a bigger
second
house.
house. And they said she had some
He running
nice
out.
her house.
He did. That's what I'm saying. He was taking better care of her than he was taking care of Joyce.
With
He did
Joyce
more for
money.
his second
Because
family.
that
Yeah,
was his dream. That was his dream.
that was his dream.
That was his.
But
That was
But
the
that
type
wasn't
of
his
woman that
money.
But see, and that's probably why he was so angry at Odell and Yvonne, because you stealing from one place to take care of another family. So that means that money is getting tight somewhere. And so you have to be strategic on how you take things from the store. And like Dara said, write the invoices to make everything so nothing could look suspicious. But then while you're doing that, and you know you're trying to take care of 2 households, somebody else, here come 2 more people pulling from you.
Yeah.
So
Now
I
that's
can
a good
imagine
thought.
he was angry.
he was.
He probably been thinking for a long time, what
And
can I
I'm-
do to get these
Yeah.
folks out of my life?
And I'm pretty sure he had no peace. And the only thing he had to do, if he had a came clean, they couldn't have blackmailed him. And then he couldn't pay attention. Like, wasn't nobody gonna listen to them because they didn't have a status. They could have said all that. Betty Jean wasn't gonna say nothing because she knew where her milk and bread was coming from. Betty Jean wasn't finna disrespect Joyce or do nothing because Betty Jean knew that's who was feeding her and her kids. She enjoyed her lifestyle. She didn't care nothing about that other family. She didn't care nothing about that store. And have y'all noticed Betty Jean is the only one in the clear? Ain't nothing going on. Betty Jean living her best life.
And don't you know, Odell not only took stuff to Betty Jean in Hartford, but he'll take stuff and give to other people too. He'll take stuff for other people in that community.
Yeah. And
Odell had joined
Church.
that church. He was a member of that church and everything in that town. He lied and told them people he was a salesman and this and this and that. He brought stuff to everybody. He just was an all-round thief.
He did. He played a role very well. He played a role.
Mama, this mama.
I guess playing that role wasn't easy. I guess he wasn't as good as an actor as he thought, or he didn't think it through. It started off good. It started easy, and what he was doing and how he was able to manipulate everybody, you know, and get to where he wanted to get and obtain these things. But then when he got involved with Betty Jean and had the one child, I mean, he kept going back.
He did.
She got
He did.
pregnant again. He went back. She
It
got
was that
pregnant.
hero complex. He kept going back because he felt like a hero to Betty Jean, to her sister, to that family, that community. Only thing Odell cared about was his status. He felt like he was somebody over there in that next community too, because look, he was taking care of a whole community, trying to prove something to everybody except his wife. He was so caught up with himself.
He was bringing stuff for her sister,
Yeah.
sister and her kids too. But then the other thing about it, it was like you would feel some kind of remorse, but then y'all was planning on having a little girl if you could have. So you were just still, I mean, it
And
just
she
made
was having miscarriages. You know, his wife was having miscarriages.
while you planning a future over here in the next town. Wow.
And some women don't even
That's
get
real
over
life, y'all. Y'all know
miscarriages.
that's real life.
Mhm.
It
Yeah.
is. You see it often. You hear about it in the church. People whisper about it. You see it. And if y'all notice, if y'all been looking at the news, you've been seeing so many people killing each other in their relationship, being in bondage because and you know, once money get involved, people feel like they feel like they own you. They feel like they entitled to you. So, you know, he wasn't finna let Betty Jean go nowhere because he felt like he owned Betty Jean. Because Betty Jean didn't even work no more. She worked when she wanted to at that restaurant because he was her sole provider. And that's what she wanted. because she was used to messing with married men, but she had found one I'm so silly and ignorant enough to do exactly what she wanted. So she was gonna keep giving him them babies because she knew they were gonna keep him over there.
Yeah, that's real life.
Yeah. Wow.
Well,
All
he
day
was gonna.
long.
Well, now she couldn't get them babies by herself. So he
Oh,
wanted,
no.
because he was saying, you know, we about our daughter, we trying to get a daughter and stuff. So hell, he didn't, I mean, so he didn't care. He kept on want to have some children himself.
Yeah.
Want to have more children.
He did.
He said, but then at the end of that book, he said he gonna play it out until he dead or Odell. I mean, he was dead or Milton them. Somebody had to die, and he was gonna play it.
He wasn't finna destroy what he had with his wife because he had an easy life. Only thing he had to do with Joyce was make Joyce happy. The only thing made Joyce happy was the time and attention. Only thing made Betty Jean happy. Betty Jean didn't care about the time and attention. Only thing Betty Jean wanted to make sure her and the boys was taken care of. So she had all that she needed. So he had an easy life because his wife was submissive. And then his mistress knew about the wife. She didn't care because she was getting everything that she needed. The only thorn was
But you know, she did start asking for time, right? So she still did start asking. She did start asking.
She did
more time with her and those boys.
But you know, that could have been a cop out, and she knew he couldn't. So that could have been her way of just pretending like she wanted his time and attention because she knew the situation that she got into.
You know, yes, that's probably how it was gonna go. You know, I see you. We in this little side relationship. We have these kids, and you know the situation I'm in. So I'm going to see you when I see you, and you know eventually she's gonna start wanting more time.
Yeah, she gonna want to start feeling like she is truly the wife. Yeah, because she was claiming to be the wife over there. So after a minute, she wanted to be the wife, but she knew she couldn't truly be the wife because of what he had going on.
Yeah.
Without his wife.
But he was, but at the same time, he was acting the husband too.
Yeah,
he
she was, and that's what I was about to say.
She
was actually acting as if she was in the. She was actually acting in the wife's role, and Joyce was just a side piece with the, you know, with the money.
She was. And it's pretty much
he was acting like the husband over in Hartsville, and then come to Branson and act the husband there. Oh, he was good at what he did. I don't feel sorry for him.
And remember, Milton
was more like a boyfriend. He was more like a boyfriend, a live-in boyfriend for Joyce.
He was, because he didn't even take her to work. He didn't even do things around the house for her. Like I said, only thing made Joyce happy, as long as he gave her time and attention, Joyce was happy. And he made Joyce proud because he was going to church and people thought he was somebody in the community. So he had an easy life. The hardest thing that came in was Milton and Yvonne. They messed it up.
Oh, wow.
They messed it up. They didn't have to mess it up. He allowed that. They didn't have to mess it up. He still could have been on easy street. Because all Milton, all Odell had to tell Yvonne would talk about them, you know, they low class, they lie and everything. Yep. All Milton had to do was talk bad about them. And George would forever believe everything he said.
She did. And remember, Milton even kept saying how sorry and scared he was. He was a wimp. And when he got loud with Milton, noticed Milton would get worried because we realized Milton really can't fight and defend himself. Milton is just mouth. Milton do stuff and he bullied the people that allow him to be bullied. Yvonne too. So he could have came up out of there, but he was so caught up with himself, he just didn't want nothing to be exposed. He wanted to be the knight in shining armor. He wanted to be Prince Charming. So he didn't want that scandal. He didn't.
Yeah, but he did warn them. He said, y'all pushing me to a wall. Y'all gonna, you know, y'all need to stop. And everything. They could see how he looked when they come in there, the things he said, and all that kind of stuff.
Giving them warning, they were laughing it off, still saying he was just a little pushover. He wasn't gonna do nothing.
He the weirdest sorriest man they had ever seen. They wish he had they had found out about Betty Jean earlier.
Mm-hmm. But have y'all noticed we see these kind of relationships even on the job? People hold something over your head or try to use stuff against you. Even though we can look at the times that was written, but it's showing you how now it's still prevalent today because people still will do that. People will take your kindness or weakness and they will keep pushing you to a breaking point until you snap out. So, you know, even though we figured out the phone call came in book 3, the phone call had to be necessary because they were running out, because they were pushing him into the wall. It's like, how much do you expect this man to take? Even if he right, wrong, or whatever, it still wasn't their money to take from him either.
Yeah,
So they were
were
pushing
doing
him.
Yeah,
they were doing a lot. They was doing too much.
Yeah. But you see people like that.
Instead of
People think that you nice and kind and they can push you over. You see people like that.
Mhm.
We see that. You see that on the job. You see
instead
that
of
within the
one, and I
community.
understand instead of one blackmailing him, two blackmailing him, you know, and then the husband and wife lying to each other about the money they getting, you know, and yeah, they were bad, but he was bad too. So hey, he got, even though and with both of them blackmailing him, still didn't match what he stole from the McPhersons. Still wouldn't match.
And sometimes when people see that you ain't hitting on nothing, they justify to themselves why they treating you like they treating you. You know, they felt like, you know, they didn't tell Joyce, you know, but it's like they had no respect for Odell. You know, I'm not sure I would have had any respect for him. I wouldn't stole from him. I would not have stolen from him. But, you know, people justify their actions oftentimes, and you know, they were aware of what Odell was doing, and they were selfish, and they were actually serving the god of mammon. Money was their god. You know, I mean, it was no satisfying that desire for money. You know, so they didn't have money. Money had them because they could not get enough.
Mm-mm. But they have, you remember now, they had fallen behind. It got worse after when Milton got beat up, and then they went to jail and they lost work and they had to heal, and they really got behind, and that's when the money really kicked in.
But Milton
They
brought that on
started
himself
kicking
though. Because Milton brought that on himself. You stealing
No.
from the people that you playing cards with. And the thing what kept getting me with Milton and Yvonne, they justified everything they did. They was just like Odell. Well, God know my heart, and they know my kind people, and we Christians, because if we weren't Christians, we could be getting more. They justified everything they did, feeling like they were good people because they could do a lot worse to him. Notice every
But
time
they
they
never
did something.
they never did reveal who jumped Milton, did they? Did they ever say who jumped him?
We just assumed maybe it was the guy that you know, that was his so-called friend. Man, they know how they would treat their friends, so-called friends, so bad. But what I was thinking was the last guy that he when he had those cards.
Oh
and
yeah,
he wasn't stupid enough to win one game, to win one game. He won them all. So you bringing attention to yourself when you know, these guys always gamble with you. You never win. But then all of a sudden you're gonna win every game. It was just so stupid. They were so stupid and greedy.
Right, because remember, Willie Frank went back and made peace when they sold their farm equipment. But he never made peace with the guy he played cards with because he didn't respect him.
Speak up, Coretta.
Remember, he made peace with the guy they stole the farm equipment from, but he never made peace in that card game because he felt like, well, he owed us anyway. Remember when he was sick and we let him stay on our couch and we were good to him? They justified they wrong. I don't care what they did wrong, they're justified. Everything was okay.
And you know, you don't do things for people expecting something from them in return. You do stuff because out of the kindness of your heart, and this is what you want to do for an individual. But everything they did for someone, they figured out a way to get that back. And then, you know, try to say, well, like Coretta said, they justified it by saying, well, I did this for this person, or I did this for her, or I did this for him. That's not how life goes. That's not life. That's not how it's supposed to go. No.
And you know, it's impossible to think that you can steal from someone and you're gonna keep it and it's gonna grow on both ends. It's like this is a recipe for disaster. You know, you cannot steal. Odell couldn't do all that stuff to Joyce and be successful. No, he had that coming. He sowed those type of seeds, and that's the harvest he reaped. He reaped. Milton and Yvonne, same difference. You ain't gonna never have enough because you stealing. You reaping what you sow. It's like a bucket with a hole in it. You never gonna have enough because you're getting it the wrong way. Everything you planted is growing up in your life. So
yeah.
Do y'all remember that show? Y'all, everybody remember Power? Did everybody watch Power on Stars about Ghost and Tommy and all them? Did everybody watch it? Notice on that show, it was the same way. Every time somebody did good, something bad was gonna happen because everybody was doing everything the wrong way. Even when his daughter died, instead of him getting honor to his daughter, he had to get the politics and everything involved with it because he wanted to be seen. He wanted to be notarized. He pictured the man of Odell. He was taken from his family. Even when the girl came in, and it's like, you didn't love that girl. That girl didn't love you. Both of them was on a power trip. He lost his whole family over a woman that was trying to send him to prison. It's the same way in this book. Nobody could get enough of anything. Shell, what she said, it was power. It's like filling a bucket with a hole in it. It's never gonna get full because they keep paying attention. They're not paying attention to the hole.
Well,
And
their
everything in this book is
priorities,
like that.
you know, they had their own agenda of what they wanted, their motives, you know, were whatever they wanted to do. And so it just wasn't gonna lead up to anything but something bad, something evil. Yeah. Wow.
yeah, so
It's like they went to bed plotting, they got up plotting on something. I mean, all day long. All day long.
to get a
Even
dollar.
with the whoever thought about what is it, refurbishing the wine, the moonshine. I mean, you plotted everything. And then you even not only were you taking money from this man, you was getting free food from him, snacks, so you can serve at the moonshine party. Come on. They were doing a lot. They were doing a lot. They were gonna get it. They were gonna get in where they fit in. They were gonna get it. And their plan was to get whatever they could get.
And I don't care what bad happened to them. You know, every time something bad happened to them, they are justified why they needed more money. I don't care what they didn't realize how much karma bad was coming back to them. Everything was, we got to get some money for it. We got to get some money. We got to get some money. He didn't even care about his wife being raped. His biggest thing when he got out of jail, we got to get some money.
That was his God.
And for him to be so evil and always trying to find a way to get after somebody, he was scary. He was a scary man. He was even scared to stay at home by himself. He was scared of any noise sounds that the house made, you know. Oh, he was just a scary thing.
And then I talk about how scary or calling Odell a punk, but it's like, you just as sorry as Odell.
Yeah. When you can't realize, because your head in the air and you can't even realize you know better than the other person.
And that's the biggest thing in life. And you said a mouthful, dumb. That's the biggest thing that we have to learn in life. We all got to be teachable from something. Either we gonna learn from our lessons, we can learn from others. We have to be teachable. Nobody in this book was teachable. I don't care what lesson they had, they wasn't learning nothing. The only thing they was trying to do is still trying to find ways to get over. We have to be teachable. No one person knows everything. And you can't surround yourself with crooks and criminals and think you're going to learn something. You're going to learn the wrong things from them. I know people always saying, well, that ain't necessarily true. Birds of a feather don't flock together. But when you around somebody so much, you do pick up their habits. You pick up their habits.
Yeah. You either going to bow down, lower your standards to meet theirs, or they're going to raise theirs to meet yours. Yes. It's some type of transaction is going to take place, you know. So we have to be careful and mindful of the company that we're keeping, you know. And so you're right, birds of the feather that do flock together. You either gonna go high or you gonna go low. You're gonna bring them up, or they're gonna pull you down.
Bring you down.
Even the ones you think you're comfortable with, because they just like you. You're in your element around them because you know y'all like some of the same things. Y'all understand each other. You know, you're probably on the same level educationally and financially. So you're comfortable with that person, but then that's not the person that you need to be around, because that person is going to keep you at a certain level. You know, so there's no change of mindset. There's no growth. There's no trying to do better. There's no wanting to do better, because you come complacent at where you are. You know? And
And
then
some people are
if you
afraid to
attempt
be
to do
challenged.
better or attempt to be more, to gain more than what you have, then you're gonna think they're gonna look at you a certain type of way.
Yeah, you worried about what they gonna think or say.
Yeah. So,
Mm.
hey, you just stay right there for life. You just
Yeah.
stay right there.
Look, I read a quote today a little while ago, and it said, to never receive criticism, you should do nothing, say nothing, and be nothing. You don't want nobody to
Wow.
criticize you. Just don't do nothing, don't say nothing, and don't be nothing.
And don't
Because
even
you're
be
gonna have
seen.
right.
So from thinking of that
Yeah.
and we
Wow.
paying attention, and we know this is true in a lot of communities, even when we don't want to face it. For the viewers that's listening, it's like, what advice would y'all really give them if they stuck in a situation like that where they need to elevate and grow? But and we are scared. Some of us, we are scared to be challenged. We're scared of how people gonna look at us if we try to change. How can we change that? Because we as a people have to get better, especially looking at everything going around with the world, what's going on in our communities, what's going on with the schools, what's going on with children, how things are really changing in life. How do we change this?
We can definitely go high. Joyce, man, she really could have been a confidant to Yvonne. Yvonne she could have been one of those faithful friends like the ones I have that's gonna take it to the grave, hear you and come up with a plan and let that thing unfold. Had she treated Yvonne right and build a real relationship with Yvonne, Yvonne would have revealed that to her, and she could have had a plan. She could have walked like a woman, snuck up on him, did whatever, and the whole scenario could have been completely different. And Joyce should have been a better steward over what she had, because she was the one with the light. I know, whatever. But she was the one with the light for the most part. The others were lost, and not making excuses for them, but there are reasons why they were lost, you know. But Joyce could have been the one with the light. And even to the viewers and even to us, we're on here talking about this book, and if we didn't want criticism, we could do nothing, say nothing, be nothing, but we're on here, we're stepping out there, and we're on here and we're having this conversation. And I think that is the beginning place. The beginning place is to what you can do, and that is really, really build light and don't tear people down. George knew that was wrong. She knew how she felt when they tore her down. But she really could have been the one to impact every life in that book. Every life in that book could have been completely different from one light, Joyce. But she failed. I sure don't want to fail.
She failed because she probably had so much fear in her.
Yeah.
That if I step up and be, that I'm person that I'm called to be, and I can pour out what I have to help these other 3 people around me, what if it doesn't end up in the end of it is not the result that I want, so I'm just going to stay in my little place. I'm going to be at this man's every beck and call. I'm going to lift him up. I'm going to support him. Somebody says something about him, I'm going to take up for him. And then these other little people next to me are beneath me. And so to keep myself feeling how I'm feeling, I'm going to say things about them. And so I'm going to the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make this beautiful woman feel bad.
But now Odell could have been in Joyce's ear. See, in order for him to do what he had to do, he had to have his house in check. He had to have her just what he wanted. And he knew she was just so proud to be his
She was an
wife.
easy target and an easy person to influence.
So he was in her ear, probably letting her, telling her, George, they just jealous of you because you got status, and look at them, they are low. And he kept feeding that to her. George believed it and believed it. And instead of acting it, George let them know they below her. She'll tell them.
But that was already in Joyce.
So
that was already in Joyce.
They so countrified and uncultured. And I feel sorry for you. And like the girl was cooking. Went over to her house, talking about how dirty her house was. You talking about if you had to let me know, I'll show you how to clean, and I'm gonna help you, and I'm gonna do this and do that. She
And
found
she maybe needed to
That was
hear that.
already in Joyce. The way
She
that
could
Joyce
have
talked
needed to
about
hear that.
Yvonne,
It wasn't
that
a
was
lie.
already in her. That was the type of
No.
person she was. Odell made it easier for her and made her comfortable enough to say it.
Yeah,
She was
Well,
that's what.
already,
see, but Donna, everybody she associated with in the past were teachers, teachers' aide, the preacher, the people that other folks in the in the
well known
town
inside
that
in the
had
community.
status
Uh-huh,
and
but
well known and educated. Now she meet these people that are not educated, which make her appear, and they were down there. So they just lifted her up to, she couldn't see who she was because she was on an even plane with her other side of town.
Mhm.
Then when she got to this
Mhm.
side of town, and the low people, the low people were looking up to them. So hey, they were looking up to them. So hey, she had to do what she had to do. They made her a woman of status. They
But
was
then she was
teaching and
looking up to them
everything.
but then they were looking up to her, but then she started looking up to them because she wanted to know more about them, get to know them, because that was a world that she was not familiar with. So she was excited about getting to know them too.
Yeah.
But then in the midst of that, she was down in them. And I think that didn't happen overnight. I think that was something that had been growing and brewing in her as she was getting older and older. That was the way that Joyce was. And Odell made her okay with telling them how she really felt about them.
Well,
Well,
you
you
know,
know
he
what?
had to
She
Say
keep
could have
whatever
Joyce
told
she
her
on
that
his
she was
side.
beautiful.
say what she wanted to say.
True. I think what you said, it was
He had to
already
keep
in
it
her.
because
Go ahead. Hello.
Yes, can you guys hear me? I was saying that, you can tell a person they need to clean their house. She could have needed to hear that, but you can also tell her she's beautiful if she's beautiful. I mean, she could have done better, and even when it came down to Odell, I still say she was the one with the light. She could have called him out on those things. And sometimes as a wife, when you're in that position, it is your responsibility, before it goes so far and end up the way it end up. It was like, man, it ended up terrible, and to be a good steward over whatever it is you have, be it your family business, being a good steward over those books and not putting everything in his hand, being a good steward over your words when you're talking to everybody, being a good steward concerning your husband. Look, you can't live doing this. I don't know where you at. It's like you have to address some things. You must, because you could be that change.
Yes, I agree with everything that all of you are saying. If we put it together, it'll be powerful. If a community could come together and do all that, it will be powerful. Because the book did start off with Joyce and Odell. And if Joyce and Odell had been right, if Odell hadn't been having that secret, even when Yvonne was telling him you could be more like Odell, sometimes we never know what reason why God gonna bring people in our lives. Some people are lessons and some people are blessings. If we learn the wrong things and people encourage it, we're gonna do the wrong thing. Joyce already had certain stuff in her because that's what she learned. She learned that she knew people in that town tore each other down. Everybody gossiped and talked about each other, even though they came together and they gathered in church. We do it here. But when Yvonne and Milton came there, both of them could have been alike. She could have told, oh, you are so beautiful. Oh, you cook so well. But she couldn't because she had so much damage in herself. She didn't want to build anybody else up because everybody tore her down. So she was finally happy to have somebody else to tear down.
That boldness rolled up in her.
Right. And instead of her husband telling her, because he had power over her, instead of him using his power like, baby, you don't do that. She'll be the woman. Tell her sometime. She would have did. And that's even with him. When she could have told him like, baby, instead of take Milton with you to go see your dad so he can spend some time with him and maybe he'll pick up some things for you. Neither one of them wanted to be a light to anybody. They wanted somebody to look up to them. So it brought the relationship down when they could have been a blessing. And then he was already in bondage where he couldn't help nobody else because I'm being a hero to somebody else. So he didn't need it. He had a heroism complex in him. And Milton and Yvonne couldn't pay attention to anything because everything in their factor was money, but they had failed to realize it's like they couldn't see their own blessings. God bless y'all with a nice house in a nice neighborhood. You got a nice hustle where you can help your aunts and your uncles take care of your kids, but they took it for granted because they always wanted more, but they couldn't realize we still losing. They couldn't pay attention to their own the money experience because both of them, neither one of them told each other better. They just patted each other on the back. It's like Dr. Ware said one time, like, I don't need anybody like me. You either need somebody that's gonna challenge you to build you up to make sure you build other people up. But the worst thing to do is get around friends or in a relationship and nobody's telling you better.
I also think Milton could have been a blessing to Odell, because you know when they first introduced Odell, Milton and Joyce, how Milton treated Joyce. I mean, how Milton treated Yvonne, and the words that he said, and how kind he was, and how he looked out for her. When he saw how Odell was treating Joyce, he could have pulled him to the side and said, "Man, you know, that's not how you're supposed to treat her. That's not how you're supposed to care for her. Spend time with her." You know, he could have done that, so they could have been a blessing to all of them. Could have been a blessing in one way or the other.
Yeah, but nobody wanted to speak up. Nobody wanted to speak up.
Donna, you know, Milton was doing some of the same thing because he was messing around with them women at Aunt Maddie's. He was messing around, and then remember.
Well, I'm saying the way that he talked to
Joyce,
the way he was talking to Joyce. At least
he couldn't have told
well, he couldn't say tell her she's beautiful because you know, Odell knew they all knew she wasn't, so that would have he couldn't have told her.
Mess around and stuff and treat your woman better when he was hanging out.
He could have said spend time with her. He could have said spend time with her.
Hold on, he wait a minute. Let's be honest. He could have told him that because notice what Milton did. Milton did not go and get any outside kids. Didn't no woman never come around and disrespect you.
Even though he was with the lady,
even though he cheated,
he was really trying to make it keep it a secret, and you know. But I think both of them were wrong. But I do think that Odell could have.
He could have
said some things
because Milton did have a different approach by his wife. He listened to her. He took out time with her, and he made sure. I mess with prostitutes, but these prostitutes ain't finna disrespect my wife because they want this payment or whatever from me. Like he said, Odell got stupid. He went and started a whole nother family. He could have told him, like, look, man, you could do this.
That's what Milton was saying. You didn't even handle it right, dude. You mess with somebody, you don't even tell them your name. I give fake names. You tell them your name, you tell them where you live, you tell them you got a wife, and then you go and get somebody pregnant. That's what Milton did tell him now. I remember telling Odell
he did. It's like you trying to hold on to somebody that you should have just enjoyed and kept on pushing. And then she was so young and naive, she would have let him did all that. He wanted to hold on to her. He needed her to make himself feel good because he knew Joyce had power over him. He needed somebody to give him that need of that feeling that he did. And Betty Jean gave it to him because Betty Jean was forever gonna need him because she wasn't gonna do that for herself. She was
that was the desire of his heart. That was the type of
desire of his heart. That's not trying to make excuses for
we ain't making no excuses now. We ain't making no excuses.
We saying he tried to
Betty Jean, he needed Betty Jean because Betty Jean lifted him up, and this
maybe because Betty Jean was the lady the type of woman that he liked, that she was young. And that might have made him feel good.
Everybody did what everybody wanted
to do.
Ain't nobody. I didn't read what Mary Monroe said. Somebody put a gun to somebody's head and made them go and like somebody and steal and have children. Everybody do what you want to do. Everybody did what they want to do. It's true,
but what she did show us, their heart.
They made
she showed us the weakness in their heart.
What they wanted to do.
Right, they made an excuse because none of them had to. And that's what she showed us. She showed us how if you don't have anybody to shut you down and tell you wrong, you is gonna do it. If everybody give you a pat on the back, that's just like with our kids. If our kids constantly do stuff and we don't never say anything, it's gonna get worse because nobody is telling them it's not okay.
Yeah, but you can tell people, let me tell you, everybody's born. That's why they said train up child in the way you want them to. They go to their heart. But still, you train them up, but still you got to remember that child gonna grow up and they got a mind, a set of their own. A mindset of their own. and they're gonna do some things that they want to do.
You right.
I don't care what you tell and how you preach to the choir, they're gonna do what they want to do. So, and with these 4 individuals, they did what they wanted to do and how they felt, and it didn't matter until it just got bad. When somebody, you know, when you start running out with things, then that's when things get bad. Now,
but that's the most powerful thing that she showed us.
He was all right with paying. Odell was okay with paying Milton, because remember at the end of the book he said, if I can have both of these worlds and stuff, excuse me, it was worth paying. And I'm paraphrasing, it was worth paying that money to be blackmailed if I could have both of them. That's what was said at the end of book 1. That's what Odell said. And
right,
then,
but did you pay attention to what she was trying to show us? If, like Shea said, if Joyce had told him, no, you're not going to your father's house, she was so scared of losing him and challenging him as a woman, because she didn't have enough self-love. And so you see that a lot of relationships, when somebody don't speak up, or when the only person was speaking up, Joyce wasn't speaking up. Betty Jean was speaking up. That's why he was gonna make sure he seen Betty Jean, because Betty Jean was letting him be known. No, we got boys here. She played her role. Joyce downplayed her role. That's anything in life. When you put your foot down, that's even with your kids. And true, Lord, no, we know our kids gonna go off and do what they want to do, but it'll be just like the prodigal son. They always have to come back because they know you raised them right and you did the best that you could, and you have to take your hands off them. If Joyce had took her hands off him and put her foot down, he wouldn't have did a lot of stuff. That's the same way with Milton and Yvonne. Instead of them encouraging each other to do bad, if she had threatened to leave him and did more, he wouldn't have did a lot of stuff. It was a lot of stuff. Only thing, like, you know, baby, you can't be gambling. Oh, they ain't gonna do nothing. You know, my heart, they'll make an excuse, and it was okay. Nobody took action in this book to do anything. They did exactly what they wanted to do.
Odell wouldn't have done it so regular, but Odell still probably would have done what Odell gonna do. Now that had nothing to do with George, because when he said he was going to see his mama and stuff, it ain't like George. It wouldn't have probably been no better if George had stopped him and said no or something like that.
Not stopping. She could have said, "Well, baby, I'm gonna go with you."
Wanted him to go. She probably wanted him to go so she could have some time to herself. I would want to follow, you know, my husband going to his mama house or saying he going to his daddy house. I wouldn't have followed. They said when you go looking for stuff, you sure gonna find it.
True, I wouldn't have followed, but
you ain't gonna find nothing that ain't happening.
Nothing to do.
True. If it wasn't happening,
it had nothing to do. It didn't have nothing to do with Joy's self-esteem or her self-love for herself. Joyce just probably wasn't the type that gonna follow him wherever he went and stay up under him. He was gonna do what he was gonna do what he was gonna do. Because wait a minute, that man was a grown man. Everybody in this book is grown and they make their own decisions. When he went to Hartfield that first time and met Betty Jean, and Betty Jean was showing him, leading him to the front of the line, her sister there, he got his food real quick. Betty Jean ain't make him do a darn thing. He liked what he saw. He went after what he saw, and he got what he saw. Nobody made Milton Odell do a thing. Betty Jean was young. She didn't make Milton.
Right.
She didn't make Milton young after her. She wasn't green. She was smart. She was smart now, because they young don't mean they dumb.
And that's what I was going to say.
Yeah, Betty from the very beginning.
Betty Jean played a role.
He liked what he saw.
But George wasn't no fool either.
He wanted it. Huh?
George wasn't no fool either.
George wasn't no fool. George wasn't no fool.
But had she said more, had she, and in those moments, had she listened and heeded, she could have told him, look, you don't have no access to my money. I'm going to get in charge. He would have had some act right. He would have had some type of act right.
But the family gave him access to the business, gave him access to the business because he didn't give them a reason not to trust him.
Right.
They didn't have no reason not to trust him. Joyce didn't have no reason
Hold
not
on.
to trust
Yes,
him
she did.
because he
They-
kept
But
everything.
she shouldn't have just let him
He
have
kept
free will.
everything.
She didn't
Her
know
mother
anything that
probably
was going
did.
on. That's just like I'm married to somebody. I don't know. I'm letting my husband take care of everything. Then when if Lord forbids he pass away, I don't know nothing. I can't
But
tell
that's
what
still,
nothing
that's
is.
somehow
I don't know
somebody-
nothing.
that's-
And I know that
that's how-
happened to someone totally
It
lost.
does. Mhm.
That lady
Me
that what her name, Lily Lakes or Nene Lakes or whatever,
Yeah.
that played on Housewives of Atlanta. Her husband just died last month. She
Yep.
said she didn't know nothing because her husband took care of everything. She didn't even know who was the name of the guy that cut their lawn.
But see,
then,
that's
that don't
but-
make but
Is that good?
but that don't
But
make
she had
but
her
that-
own money. She was the one working. He
Yeah,
wasn't
she
working.
had-
That was Nene Lee's money. So just because she didn't know who was mowing the yard, you could have easily found somebody to replace him. He could have came and told you. She said he left him a letter. But if you pay attention, you watch back all them shows, a lot of stuff, and look, and she may be listening, but it is what it is. Let's just tell the truth and shame the devil. No, because they had got divorced and got back together and everything. So that was stuff she was choosing to do to give her husband a role in her life. Because they
Well,
had divorced
I
got
didn't
together.
watch-
She was the money.
I didn't watch that show.
Yeah, but she was the money.
I just happened to
I
see
saw it.
that interview or read that article where she said that. So I don't know
He
anything
did,
about
and she
her.
said
I'm not a reality. Only reality I did watch was Love and Hip Hop Atlanta. That's the only one I watched, you know.
Well,
And
I stopped watching because once they started doing all that arguing stuff, especially just going against each other for no reason, I just couldn't watch it anymore. I'm all for reality shows because if that's how you make your money, go for it. But when it just got to be just too much, I pull away from them. But I like Nene because Nene is a go-getter and she a hustler. But Nene was the breadwinner after a minute. And when he got sick, it did devastate her. But she knew a lot of stuff. But the stuff she didn't know, it was stuff, just simple stuff she chose not to know because you can get a garden. That ain't no major bill. You went got that house because you was the money behind that house. So a lot of stuff she was just giving him credit for as being a good man to her. But the only thing I'm saying about when people get married, that's their relationship and we can't dictate it because only they know what's going to work it out and what's going to help them build each other up. But as a whole, even in a community, when you bring them around, certain stuff, you got to be accountable for a lot of stuff. And like I said, Odell still was going to do what he wanted to do regardless. But she could have held him to be more accountable as her husband because that was her husband. And if you want the best for him, some stuff you're going to have to challenge him with because you want a better life for y'all. And that's the same way with Milton and your
But
bun.
what was it? But what was it she needed to challenge him on? What she needed to do? She needed to follow him into her daddy house?
Not following.
What was it?
If you read that book, everybody kept saying, even your bun and Milton paid attention, like this man been sick for a long time. And he been using this excuse for like 4 or 5 years. After a minute, you got to know something going on. I'm not saying she should follow
dead 3 or 4 times.
The man should have free space. But after a minute, you could have said, well, baby, let me go with him to make sure he okay. Because if that was my husband, if you got somebody that's real sick, if I love you, I want to make sure your mom or your dad good too. It's like, well, is there anything I can do? Because I want to make sure they okay too. Because this not just your family, this is our family. So after a minute, you want to make sure they okay. And then even if he just wanted to go fishing, I wouldn't want to go fish with him every day because I feel like everybody need their own space sometimes. But she had to know something was wrong.
She knew his wife. She knew about Ella May. She had met Ella May.
But have y'all ever thought maybe Ella May did not like him? Have y'all ever thought Ella May was a stepmom? Have you ever thought maybe Ella May did not like him because she knew how he really was? He was trifling. He only came around when he wanted something. Because notice, he didn't go see his dad at all. He didn't care nothing about his mama or his stepdad. And the stepmama probably knew that.
He went to see him. He went to see him, son. And then he probably did go swing by and holler and stuff, but not stay with him and everything.
Because remember at the beginning of the book, he had already said he hadn't been in his mom dad's house for a while and he didn't want to go back out there. He didn't go visit him on the regular like that.
I agree with both of you. I completely agree. There are times when you just don't know. And if you consider the setting of the book, there was no Love and Hip Hop for Joyce to watch and pick up on these signs. If you consider that it was the early 1900s and most of the information that was collected via books that they were reading, right? And her parents were elderly. They were older parents who by then probably didn't have no drama going on in their life. except the mess that was going on in the church, you know. So if Joyce end up, I don't know, however the book turned out, you know, the next relationship, if there was a next relationship, right, you'll go into that next relationship and you'll see those red flags. You'll see those things. But I'm like Miss Donna, and you know, I have been in a situation where I ain't had no clue, you know, but you're only in that situation one time where you don't have no clue, because once those blinders are removed off of your eyes, then you have an opportunity to see deeper into this thing, and you're not living in the fantasy. You're not living in the illusion of what it is you think you want. You can't help but see what it is and process what it is and deal with what it is. So I think that's where Joyce was. She did have no clue, you know. I mean, and as we get deeper into the book, and when she is enlightened, she was strong, baby, poised. What? And you can tell she wasn't no weak woman, you know. So, but if you don't know, you just don't know. And I know we've been saying that about Joyce the whole series. If you don't
hold
know.
on. Yeah, but hold on. He knew she wasn't no weak woman, because remember Betty Jean tried to ease it in there when she thought she was weak. Like, why don't you just tell her? He looked at her like, no, she ain't as mild than me. Because remember, it's like, well, she's so mild than me. Why don't you just tell her about me? Remember, she kept trying to bait him. She kept trying to put so much stuff here because she wanted to be known, because she felt like she was the wife.
Well, that's what the side woman wants. I mean, and then
all the attention.
Yeah, she wanted all of
it.
it.
She wants to be the main woman. She don't want him no more. The objective is to tear your house apart, and it's the forbidden fruit. She only wants that man because he belonged to somebody else. And if he cut all ties to that wife, if Odell had to cut all ties to Joyce with his broke behind, that woman would not have wanted him. She would have been in that same line trying to find somebody else she could pick up.
Well, first of all, she didn't know he was broke. He said he was a salesman, so he was lying to Betty Jean. Betty Jean wouldn't have known he didn't have nothing. She wouldn't have known he didn't have nothing. And if he had left Joyce, yes, she would have took him. And then after
he
that,
wasn't the first married man that she was with, though. She had a history of married men.
It had to come out then. It would have come out then if he had got with her, left Joyce and got with her, because all that stuff and everything would have to decrease, because he had to find a job. He had to lie about the salesman job and everything. And Betty Jean would then found out that he didn't have, you know, she wouldn't live. He probably wouldn't have known. She probably wouldn't have known anything about.
Hold on, we got
Just thinking about
Betty Jean knew everything about Odell. She knew everything. Remember, we talked. Betty Jean knew where Odell worked. She knew about that store. She knew about George. She knew how she looked. No, Betty Jean knew everything. Remember, he told her everything. The issue with Betty Jean wanted, like Donna said, she wanted to be relevant. She wanted more attention. She wanted to be respected more, because she felt like that was the lie she was living. I'm his wife. So she wanted to have total respect and say so over him, because she felt like, well, if Joyce so mild and so meek, why don't you tell her? She felt like Joyce was a weak woman, like she was ugly, because he had told her like she ain't ugly. He told Betty Jean everything. No, Betty Jean knew everything. She knew about that job. She was not naive about nothing. Betty Jean probably.
But still, Betty Jean still would have took him. She didn't worry about that much. She still would have took him because she had those sons. So she still would have took Odell in.
Yeah, she was gonna take him in, because it was a pride issue. I agree. She was gonna take him in. She was gonna take him in. She probably gonna get him a job at that restaurant, because long he would take her, she used them kids.
I don't know what kind of salesman he was back then. What was they selling? I'm just thinking about that. What kind of sales? Oh, wait.
And she probably helped him came up with that lie. She presented him to their church. Betty Jean knew exactly what she was doing. She manipulated his mind, and I'm pretty sure she probably was telling him everything to do. She was
a real young girl. He's supposed to be the older.
But that wasn't her first rodeo.
No, she was more experienced. She was more experienced.
She was more experienced. Manipulate the more experienced man, but he was back there.
He wasn't that manipulating him into a bigger house, Miss Doris.
She surely did. She got that bigger house.
He was getting ready to take them kids on vacation. Up for that man. That man knew what he was
We
doing.
not,
That
hold
man
on, we
did
not
that
taking up
woman.
for him.
That
We
man
not taking
loved
up
that
for him
woman.
because he knew
That
better.
man loved those children. He wanted the
He
He
did.
best
didn't love
for his
those children,
children.
Miss Donna.
And he
Yeah, because
got
if he
the
had a
best
loved
for
those
his
kids, he would
children.
have
Miss
left that
Doris, he
man
didn't love
alone.
those kids.
Stop
He saw them
taking
kids
up
on
He
the
for
loved
weekend.
that.
himself.
Stop taking up for that man and talking about that girl did this and then she did that. That girl was about 21 or 18 when that man. So those are young.
Yeah.
That's
Well, I
young
think
girl with
they're
a young
saying
mind.
that even though she was young, this was probably her 5th rodeo with
Right. She
everything.
knew
So
exactly what she was doing.
that's why they said that.
And notice
And
she
wait a
and
minute, she might know
Mary Monroe
exactly.
made reference
Wait,
to that in
wait
the
a
book
minute.
where Milton said it too now.
Maybe her 5th rodeo, but she hadn't had nobody. She hadn't had any children. She hadn't kept any of those men because one of them, that last married
They
man,
didn't keep her.
He
They
left.
left her.
he
'Cause
left
see
her
how
They
long-
left in
They
time.
left her. They saw how she
They
grew.
left on. They did what they
but
did.
still.
The amount of time they
Yeah.
So
wanted with
why
her, they
is she?
got it.
Why is she?
And they
why
went
is-
on.
but
Milton
you
was the
can't blame-
Odell was the only.
Only fool.
They-
Listen to what
Yeah,
Mary
he
Monroe
was the
said.
only
He said
one
Odell was
and
the
didn't know
only
when
fool.
to leave. He
Right.
stayed.
He was the
Stayed.
only fool.
But
And
why
she knew
blame?
it.
Why blame her? Because why blame her?
We not
because
blaming
Odell
her.
was the fool?
We not blaming
Why
her. We
blame
just
her
saying
because
how
Odell was the fool?
he
Oh, they were
was.
equal fools.
She didn't do.
They were equally wrong.
He
No,
didn't do.
no, I mean,
She didn't make
they were
Odell do
equally
anything.
wrong.
She didn't put no
She
gun
did.
to
Do,
his
do I
head.
need to call?
Odell
Do I need to
said-
call her? Do I need to ask
Odell,
what was her agenda? I can call and ask.
And
Odell
So we can-
said he always
We'll be clear
wanted
on
his
what her
red
plan
bone.
was.
Miss
And
Doris,
when Odell
the
saw that
seed
red bone,
Betty
that's
Jean
what he
sold
wanted.
is no different than the money we were talking about.
Right.
Stealing over here, stealing over there. Betty Jean wasn't gonna get that ideal relationship. You don't tear somebody's house apart, and then think you're not gonna reap what you sow. You don't plant watermelon seeds and get mad that cotton didn't grow. You reap what you sow. The seeds you plant gonna grow.
Yeah, but
This girl couldn't. She wasn't gonna make it with Odell because of the torment she caused to Joyce. You reap what you sow. It's illogical. It's
Wait
a
a minute.
spiritual law.
Odell caused that to himself when he met Betty Jean
But
over
she
at
took
Talking about when
apart.
she
restaurant.
made the decision
Betty
to lay
Jean
down
didn't
with
know he
somebody
We
was
else.
not
married.
calling the woman. We saying both of them got to
Betty
take
Jean didn't know
responsibility
she was
for it.
married. but
Oh, I don't
Odell
think she
knew
knew
Yes,
he was
she
married
did.
when she first. No,
Hold on, no, she
Betty
didn't know.
Jean
But when
didn't
he
know
wait a
Odell
minute,
was
Odell,
when
married.
he
she didn't
talked,
know.
she didn't know. But wait a minute, before they had sex and everything, she knew.
Wait
He
a minute
told
now.
her
I thought
when they
he
had
showed
lunch.
her a
He
picture.
did. He
We've
did.
been
He
out of that
told
That
her.
was
for a
after
while
the
now.
fact. That was after.
No, not after the fact.
He
Listen,
showed her a picture after.
after the fact. But before
Yeah,
he
they
had
have
sex,
after he had, been visiting with her. And I
right?
guess
But
they had
hold on. No, he told her the first
relationship.
night. Wait a minute. He told her the first night they was together that he had a wife. She knew,
But that
and
was
she
too
told.
late
She
then.
to-
He should have
No,
told
they
her.
Wasn't too late. They ain't had no babies by
They
then.
was sitting there eating lunch together. Remember
Oh,
she
but-
bought him that lunch? He told her about his wife. She told him about his last relationship. They were asking each other questions. He still chose. That's why she
I'm
put
finna
them heat
call.
on.
I'm
She
about
knew
to
what she
call
was
her.
doing.
Cause I'm gonna have to call. I'm about to call her because I don't think
I'ma
he told her
text
that
her.
on the first thing, but I
He
am about
did.
to ask her.
Remember, she told him about the man that she was messing with that was married. He told her about his wife the very first day. She told him about the married man the very first day. They told each
It's
other. Now,
okay.
I don't know if he told her about where he was working at and everything, but yes, he did. Go back and
And I'm
read that
not
part.
trying to.
I'll
I'm
go
not
back
trying
and
to
read.
go harder on her.
Wait a minute. When he told her
Doris.
about his wife, his tail should have skedaddled in. He knew.
He did.
He
No,
should
should have
have.
went on
He
by
did.
his business.
He
You
should
She
have
should
are
have told
right.
him go
Someone type it in
home.
the chat.
well, he should have gotten that double cheeseburger.
And
With
whatever.
Yeah.
those mayo, he should have left.
In love.
Yeah, because he had no
And
business going nowhere
what
with her,
they
no way.
said-
Period.
Get your food and leave.
Exactly.
But he
Right.
came on back.
But he didn't. He didn't. And
No.
didn't nobody force
He
her.
went to
to
the
open
No,
house.
didn't
herself
nobody-
to him.
No,
went to
because he
her house.
should have never
Just
played
like
into
you
it. No way.
said, Miss Doris. They were all adults.
Yeah.
And she's an adult too. But anyway, this is so exciting.
It is. And thank you guys for
And this is Table for Queens. This is how it's okay to disagree.
we have
Everybody
to.
has their own opinion. At the end of the day, it's our opinion. Hey, and it's Table for Queens is how we get done.
But wait,
Yes.
but when we get in and finish across the way, it's really gonna be on and pop.
It's going down.
Yeah, it going
I want to
down.
see if somebody was related to someone else. I want to see if Betty Jean is related to Yvonne in some kind of way. Are they related? I just want to get to it and just I need to see. I need to find out the conclusion of the whole matter. What's gonna go
Right.
down.
It honestly
I
gets
believe
better.
there's gonna be some fighting going on because I know Milton he's tired of them. They pushing him against the wall, and when you push somebody, they're gonna come out swinging. And then they're greedy. They're doing a little bit too much. So,
Right.
so somebody, and then now you've been to jail. Now you're trying to figure out who sent you there, who set you up and sent you there. So I just believe it's gonna be on and popping.
Right.
And have my popcorn ready. Wait.
Where
And
are
watch
you,
it
Miss
go
Donna,
down.
in this book? Where are
Yes.
you, Miss Donna?
Page 1.
I
For
can't
3.
wait till you finish this book, honey. We're gonna have to
Page
do an
1.
extended time.
Yes, please, you guys keep continuing, because when I say it gets greater later, the only thing the authors, it's just, you know how we debate, and it's you going to debate in your head throughout this whole book because you just realize what's the motives, who did this, who set who up. It's so much going on, so please continue just to log in, continue just to see what's going on with everything because it gets greater later.
And then look, are we still gonna like those characters? You know, you ask the question, who do you like?
Oh no.
I'm still team Yvonne. You love Joy. So let's see what Joy's gonna be.
What was me? I was Joy.
No, Coretta was Joyce. You was Yvonne.
Doris changed. She changed. She ain't Yvonne no more either. She said Yvonne is dead. I don't know who she team, but she not team Yvonne.
And we know KQ loves when she
Willie
wasn't
Frank.
gonna get it, but she in love with Willie Frank.
I think I'll go with Willie
Don't tell us
Frank
so.
too. I think I
Let's go
look.
Willie.
I think I try me some swing.
And hold
Look,
on,
I'm gonna go with Joyce
and
Pence.
I am not team Joyce. I am not team Joyce.
I'm
Oh,
gonna go with Joyce
yes,
Pence.
when you change.
No, what I was saying was, when when everybody was team Yvonne, I was telling y'all I don't like Yvonne. And my
Yeah,
reasons
but you
why.
said you for George.
Yeah.
No,
we
I
couldn't
said
figure out why you kept talking down on Yvonne. You wouldn't even give her.
Wait a minute. Right.
Yvonne.
I still stand on that.
She
I didn't
was
give her a
not
pass.
teachable.
Yeah, hold on. She teachable. She learned everything from Milton. But I never said, I said with this week, I said I kind of felt sorry for Joyce at first. And I told y'all Joyce was stupid and she just ignorant. That I didn't say I was team Joyce. This time I said, oh, well, I saw her heart when she did something. But you have never heard me say I'm team Joyce because she ignorant. I think she needs to shut up and sit down. And then I think she too ignorant for Odell and don't say enough. But I do like her better than Yvonne. I will say that. I like her better than Yvonne because her heart ain't wicked to me. Yvonne got a wicked heart. Joyce ignorant. And it's like she's too old to be so ignorant. But I'm not team nobody because it's too much going on. I'm not even team Willie Frank. I don't even like Willie Frank either. I like that he's loyal, but I'm not team Willie Frank either.
Was this before you started reading? Because you're on book 3. You're on the 3rd book.
I'm on the 3rd book. I have not finished the 3rd book. I just know how it's gonna end because I've been skipping around. I've been reading reviews, but I like Willie Frank. Willie Frank is better than all of them to me. But I'm gonna be honest, why I'm not a team of Willie Frank. He don't steal from the white people. He only steals from the black people. Y'all didn't notice that? He takes nothing from his own kind, only ours. So that's why I like Willie Frank because he's loyal. He did help them get out of jail, but that's my only hiccup with him. Otherwise, I would be team Willie Frank. I honestly would. And Joyce just irritates me because it's like,
Joyce, he'll do anything for Yvonne and Milton though. Now he love them. He do anything for them.
He do. But
and you remember he loves Sue. Okay.
Yeah. If it wasn't for that, honestly, if it's one for that, I would be team Willie Frank. I'd be all the way for Willie Frank. If he stole from both sides, I'd be team Willie Frank because he better than all of them still. He is better than all of them. Because he don't talk about anybody, he don't put anybody down, and he really showed them love. And he the one got them out of jail. So to me, he has a better heart than all of them, but he ain't crazy enough to cross his own people.
You know that's recorded, right? Leora.
It's the truth. It's the truth. I know, but it's the truth. It's the truth.
Woo. All right.
All right, ladies.
Well.
All right. Thank you guys so much for logging on. Like Shay said, this is a table for queens. We are not going to disagree on everything, and we're going to really see who we're going to be team after book 3. It goes down. We will see you guys next week. Would anybody like any message to log off with?
People like and subscribe. Like and subscribe, and please participate.
Yes. All right. Bye-bye, you guys. Thanks for logging on.